Straw Hat Fleet.
Yeah.
It's real now, baby.
But they just kind of said, "Fuck you, Luffy. We're gonna do this anyway because we want to."
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to be our boss, but we're gonna be your followers.
Just like Jesus.
It's about as good as you could ask.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Jesus.
That's what I love.
Just like him.
Remember when the apostles said, "As followers, we hereby swear to become both shield and spear of our boss, Jesus."
I'm gonna be king of the deities.
I'm gonna be king of the Jews. Damn it, it actually works.
And we're live.
Hey,
We are live.
Yes.
we're gonna try to finish Dressrosa today. However, Joe is in control of the driver's seat because my laptop is still indisposed, as it's been for the last video or so.
Yeah.
So we'll try to do this efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
But Bradley just finished it live. Maybe we'll cut in some live reactions.
Yeah, I was just reading it. I just read like the last 4 chapters of it with Willer and Joe here. And
If Joe wants to be particularly ambitious, he can cut in that Mr. Luffy Go reaction and realization.
Wait.
All right, let's just jump into it. First things, we left off in the law flashback.
Yes.
We're right at the tail end of it. The birdcage is already going. I just wanted to point out here that, and I forgot to mention this last time, they were getting the Ope Ope fruit from a man named like Diaz something, and Diaz is actually Drake's surname, ex-Drake, the dinosaur guy, and this is Drake right here, escaping from the town. He's like the lone escapant, and you can tell because he has this chin scar that is very like. They show it like they zoom in specifically on this kid and they show his chin with a little scar.
With a little X.
Yeah, it's got to be purposeful. So
which keep that in mind because we then know that Drake went on to join the Marines because the Marines do show up, and then he eventually became a pirate. And I forgot if we know anything else about him at this point, but we'll keep that in mind because there's interesting law theories to get to later, but.
That is good to point out.
Next up, we got the beginning of True Sadness, where Corazon's getting really cornered. And this one in particular, like, Corazon had been lying to Law the whole flashback that he wasn't a Marine, that he was a pirate. But in his last moments, he sticks to it. And I think it's interesting that he says, "I'm a Navy man," to Doflamingo's face, and then bumps his head on the box that currently has no sound coming out of it due to his fruit. And he pretends like he's talking to Doflamingo, but he's apologizing to Law, which is just extra sad.
Dude.
Yeah.
But then, why must I be forced to kill my own family not once but twice? Almost making Doflamingo a bit of a tragic character here for what an asshole he is.
Almost. But I think he's just an asshole.
But I think he's just an asshole.
Actual
sad. All right, actual sadness. But before Law was put into that treasure chest, he gets hit with an "I love you," and then he giggles to himself, which is really sweet. Like he's like, "Oh man, that Corazon, he's such a goofball."
I know.
But you know what? I always thought he said "I love you" out loud here, but it implies that he's not. I wonder how the anime handles it.
I thought it was more like a whisper, but.
Because something that always stuck out to me in this scene, like every flashback, every character has had that one person that truly loves them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all the Straw Hat flashbacks, even like the Otohime Fisher Tiger Jinbei flashback, the Ace one. There's always been that one person that genuinely cares for them. But the words "I love you" have like never been uttered in all of One Piece, I feel like. I think like we're approaching 800 chapters here at the end of this arc, and it's the first time we've heard like some of the 3 most impactful words in the entire English language.
Yeah.
Which I think is just like I picture them as like a big brother bond where Law loses his sister to the attack on White Town Flevens, but then he gains an older brother in Corazon, and Corazon gains a brother because his flesh and blood brother who's alive is a monster, and he doesn't like have that kinship towards him. So like, or you could maybe see it as like a father-son bond, but either way, like in their adventures together and then like working together to make each other's lives better. They really grew a really sweet bond, which just makes what's about to follow even sadder.
Also, like, from this page,
Mhm.
and also, like, in the chapters I was just reading before we started this, I was having the thought in my head that, Law probably has my favorite wordless facial expressions in One Piece. There's this one, and then, like, where he's giggling to himself, and then also, later on when he talks to Sengoku, he has this one expression, and I'm just like, Law has really good expressions.
Yeah, you can tell he's thinking a lot. But we don't always get privy into his head. Joe, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say that maybe Rosicante or Corazon said this, but remember he soundproofs the box, so it might have just been absorbed when he said it, kind of deal.
Oh, what if we sing it out loud?
Yeah, but
Law can't hear it necessarily.
But he can see the lips and he knows.
Oh man, and just the stupid face too.
Yeah,
like that. I do want to rewatch this scene in the anime because also sound plays an important part in the most soul crushing part of this flashback, which I want to point on when we get there. Yeah, I mean he just gets fucking blatted. Like, yeah, this is just a good page of pain. But we can move on. Yeah, like. The scene direction, I think what I really liked here is now you are free, because he's finally free from both his curse, like the fact that he was doomed to die, but free from Doflamingo, and the cannons are firing and the birdcage is going and like Law is crying, the snow is falling on Corazon. But I think what really hits, I think, is maybe the next picture I got.
So I wanted to point out real quickly is that the way that this snow is falling, it's reminiscent of Law's like pattern markings on his face.
Oh yeah,
so it's like
the white
Corazon has sacrificed his life to absorb what would be this disease.
Law's
oh my
death.
god,
that's pretty good. And it's snow, like what? Yeah, Snow White. Yeah. But oh, I didn't get it. But okay, there's a panel where like Law now has to like walk past the Doflamingo pirates as they're leaving, and he's like walking right by them, but they can't hear him, and he's just crying. But there's no sound in the pages. It's all like empty sound, and I think that's fantastic. More D and God connections, and Law finally revealing to Doflamingo that he's a D too, which
I'm a dick too.
This fight is interesting because it starts with Luffy, but he quickly gets knocked down to go fight mid-boss Bellamy. So there's actually a good portion of this fight that is just Law and Doflamingo, and there's some cool choreography here that I think I probably took some screenshots of.
I like
my
that.
favorite shots.
Doflamingo used Armament Hockey here to catch the blade, but the blade is still piercing through him.
Yeah, he's still bleeding a little bit.
Yeah. Rebel scope.
Yeah, so like I just made this connection, but I remember Chopper's rumble scope move, which is not a devil fruit technique. It's just a thing that he can do because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
And then this move reminds me of rumble scope because it literally makes the scope the
scope.
But Law is also a doctor, so I was like, wait, are they using similar techniques? And I never noticed. That's kind of neat. Also, in the Pyro Warriors games, both Rumble Scope and Injection Shot apply the same debuff.
Okay.
Getting so close to the Pirate Warrior territory.
You can play Pyro Warriors
3.
You can play 3, but you're also so close to 4 where you could just,
well.
I think you just get the 4.
Yeah.
I never noticed that Law had this in the back with the Corazon. I think that's the only like notable thing here. But like he's carrying Corazon's will literally in his on his back, which is just wonderful.
Got the team on my back though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I love this exchange. If you hadn't screwed up on that snowy day, these countless tragedies might have never occurred. And Law's like, so even you consider them to be tragedies.
That's God tier.
And anytime Doflamingo is knocked off his high horse a little bit, is just a mwah moment. Very calm, very clever. Good point, good point. And like, I feel like this is a clever way of Oda being like, okay, Doflamingo has kind of like a backstory that you can sympathize with a little bit, but don't forget he's a bastard.
Yeah.
And he knows it. Which I feel like is the vibe that this exchange gives me. So, I want to bring up at this point, and I want to know like if Bradley like picked up on how fucked up this kind of is. This whole super saga that we're in started in Punkcaster when Law was like, we're gonna go kill Kaido.
Oh yeah.
Like, Doflamingo's just a side event. I promise. We're just cutting off the thing, but we're gonna get Kaido eventually. Come on, Luffy, come help me. But in reality, like, Law came here expecting to die, so he started this alliance to go fight Kaido, and he's even explicitly like hurting Kaido's supply chain, which is gonna get Kaido mad. But he was, I think, fully willing to die here if Doflamingo goes with them. So he was putting Luffy in a very selfish position here.
Man.
And knowing that he survives this arc, you must wonder that like Luffy, he probably owes a great debt to Luffy for helping him get through this. And
I'm sitting here like, what comes next for this dude?
what comes next for Law is a big question that I had around this time.
It kind of reminds me of like Robin a little bit, who like just was like all prepared to die and everything, and then when she's given the opportunity by Luffy to continue living, and she has to find a new purpose in her life
and kind of reinvent herself. And
it feels very reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just to rub in the salt that's about to happen. This cute little scene of Bellamy joining the crew, but Bellamy's like, "All right, you're kind of a little shit kid. So if you ever lose to anyone, you're giving your symbol back." And as we'll recall, when Bellamy lost the first time, that's the first time we met Doflamingo in. Well, we saw
second
him,
time. We
that's
see
the
him.
second time we saw Doflamingo, but that's the first time he was the closest to the crew. They didn't run into him back then, but he killed Bellamy back there. But you know how deaths work.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
But it's just cool that like Luffy, like there was this contingent, like this contingency to their agreement for him to join the crew, and Luffy defeats him twice. Which I think leads us to their showdown.
Yes.
Which something I really like throughout this part, and why I think it like works super well, despite it like it's kind of a pace breaker. Which this is kind of the story for Dressrosa. Now that we're out of the flashback, Bradley was saying like near the end of Dressrosa, he was getting really fed up with it. If you want to elaborate on that, Bradley, like because I'm interested at like which point it started hitting the most.
The way I described it to Willer earlier today, I think, was it feels like I'm reading a manga called Dressrosa, and occasionally the Straw Hat Pirates from One Piece will make cameos.
And that feels very apt. And I feel like part of it, like, because I remember, like, we talked about it before, it didn't seem like it started hitting Bradley until maybe around this point, or like maybe you'll remember around the time where it started. I would wager the guess that it starts happening when like the chaotic officer fights start happening, where because none of the Straw Hats except for Zoro finish off any of the officers. It's all the other characters.
Zoro's the one, like he's like our designated Straw Hat for that. And in each chapter, we were going between like 4 or 5 different fights. So
it gets so chaotic. Yeah. So as much of a pace breaker it is, and there's a lot of these in Dressrosa, I think Oda is still kind of on fire with some of the writing here, where like Bellamy is like, I know this is an idiot, like I'm being an idiot, but I've devoted my life to this guy, and like once you make that commitment, you can't just turn your back on it. So if I'm going to be an idiot, I at least want to be taken down by this second man that I respect.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, so like after all that, he's grown a respect for Luffy.
I know,
I think
that's
really
so
sweet.
cool. Like thinking about how Luffy and Bellamy began versus each other, I'm just like, it's cool that there's some respect, you know.
Dude, we are 600 chapters after that.
That's crazy.
Like we're like 600 to 500 chapters after that. That is nuts. And Ace died in the middle between there. We met like so much happens in between like these little stop points in the story that like these are just minor plot points in the grand scheme of One Piece. But Doflamingo really seems to place a heavy focus on the environment in which people were raised. I thought this was interesting because he kind of molds children to join his cause, but also the environment in which he's raised is also his maybe excuse for being the person he is today. So I just thought that was an interesting note.
It's interesting because like if Doflamingo, like his family didn't end up leaving, he'd still could have been an asshole because of being where the Celestial Dragons are.
Oh, he absolutely would have been. He loved the power that
so it's really inconsequential almost.
Yeah. And I think that's intentional as well.
Yeah.
I just thought this was a funny move. He goes, Commodore Dignity, attention! And then everyone's like, oh, like these are the enemies, but they can't help but like deny his will, and then he just bowling balls them. I think that's a fun move. Uh, so the baby fight, like, the baby 5 Lao G portion of the fight starts, and like this character, I really like baby 5. I think she's like kind of a standout among the Doflamingo crew, which is already like a pretty solid crew, but like she's just so funny. And like, just say you need me, don't you? I'm like, oh, you have.
And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Such issues. She man, I got this one just for the fucking art.
Oh,
this punch was nuts.
Who is that? Oh,
that's Harjaruden and Mach Vice.
I remember reading this punch and I was just like, holy fuck!
What's cool is the panels I'm not showing is where his arm is shattering as he's doing the punch, but he's still following through.
Oh my god.
He's one of my like favorites to join the fleet at the end.
He's a giant, right?
Yeah, he's a giant, and I feel like he'll be really important when we get to Elbaf.
Because he used to belong to like were they just straight up called like the giant pirates?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know, or maybe they're the Elbaf pirates. I'm not sure what their crew. But he was part of that crew, yeah. He's part of the new giant pirates, I think, too. Like, I think the reformed crew.
Yeah. I think their goal is to like get back to where they were.
Yeah. I just like Zoro's like badass lines just sometimes really get to me. He's like, sleep tight, when you awake the cage will be gone.
Who's he talking to?
Shit.
Who's he talking to?
I believe he's talking to I think he's talking to Harjaruden, who just like fell from his fight.
Oh, okay.
And he's someone who just fell from their fight. He's like, I got
he's talking to Sanji's chastity cage.
This speaks for itself.
Oh no!
Why is Mike doing this?
Oh my god! He's like, Walter, I'm dying. Good.
That's funny.
Baby 5 gets like this briefest backstory, which is like, it's like the most like engineered to be like, feel bad for this character, but it still kind of works.
I would say this
fucking.
it's like probably the shortest but also most effective backstory you could do for this character.
It's like Oda's like, I'm doing it for Senior Pink, so I can't do it for 2 of them. So you just get a page, but we're gonna get straight to it. We're gonna talk about why you're such a brat.
Kill yourself.
It's still a good page.
Something I really like too, and I think I have it maybe in the next page I got, is that both Lao G and it's not this page. Yeah. Both Lao G and Sai both like view her as a very valuable person. Like, this should have been the moment where like Lao G's like, stupid girl, you listen to anyone who needs you. But like, I think he has a line where he pretty much mentions her as a valuable member of the family, which I think reinforces what I like about the family. Even when they have the moment to do like the evil turn to make themselves even more despicable, most of them still stick together, which I think is really sweet. And the next page is just hijinks, which I was like, this, like, I was just giggling at how, like, he's like, oh, my son, you're finally getting married. Like, I'm so proud of you. And then Lao Chi just comes and kills his ass. So, like, it's just very chaotic and fun. I like this portion.
Fun.
Yeah, here it was, where it's like, you cannot have Baby 5 Kano Kingdom Monkey. She would give her life if someone needed it. Have you seen another woman this useful? Well, you know what? No, that is a wrong read, because I feel like the useful thing, I thought she liked that, but maybe she doesn't. Maybe it stuck out to her negatively. Because is this a crying of happiness or a crying of like, oh, you guys are just using me? I don't know. What vibe did y'all get? Because maybe I read this scene wrong.
From this, I'm getting the vibe of like, oh, I'm just being used. Like, it's the extreme and the complete other direction of where it was before, where she was never wanted. Now she is like, has a sole purpose.
Yeah.
It's so like, but it's still not hitting that mark of like, I want to be wanted. It's just I'm being used rather than being wanted. Does that make sense?
That's a little nuanced. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't. I feel like this could be read either way now that I look at it again. So,
I think the only solution is for Oda to give her own 100 chapter spin-off manga.
I think you're right. Also, her fruit is like one of my favorite fruits in the whole series.
I love it.
It's very cool.
I will extinguish you.
Yeah. G! Lao G's fun. I like him.
The will of G.
Oh, this fucker.
So, like, Jinbei's cover story is almost the most inconsequential of the series. I think it exists for two purposes, three. One is to show how friendly Jinbei is, because he helps out those random, like, sea animals. Two is to bring Watatsumi back into the fold, because, like, he was part of the Fisherman Pirates, and now he might befriend Jinbei. And I think the third one's because Jinbei finds a Poneglyph later. So, like, it was a lot of chapters of just Jinbei fucking around. I was like, okay, I guess that happened.
It's like there's an inverse relationship between how important a character is and how consequential their cover story is.
That's actually super true.
Because, like, I remember when we got to Ace's cover story, I was like, what the fuck? We're gonna see what kind of big shit Ace is getting into, and, you know, it was alright.
I still hold to the theory. We've seen Makino the barmaid with a baby. Ace had a baby with a milk girl. I promise, man.
That's Makino's baby. I don't know why you keep thinking it's not her baby.
Did I do it again?
Yes!
It's time. I do this every time.
Oda says it's Makino's baby. Like,
I thought he said it coyly, like, uh-huh.
No.
Well,
that's what Oda says, but then he sends an email to Willer of Oda winking. And it's like, yeah, nah, you got it.
Hey, we've resolved this comment.
Yeah. Well, you removed my comment, yep.
Yeah. It was on screen for a little bit.
Just make you my slave after all. That Bart and Joe are on the same wavelength here.
Yo. Oh, man, I remember reading that. I was like, this is great.
Okay. I think Dellinger is so cool.
He's so cool!
I just think he just strikes me as, like, a very cool character.
I think I mentioned it in our last talk on this. Like, he just feels more
fucked up.
Yeah,
he feels more fucked up than most of the other Will
and I spent like 10 minutes talking about his fucking design and character when we were doing our tier list, because we're like, I don't know what's about this guy, but like he just gives this aura of just intense like bloodthirst energy.
Very memorable minor villain, right?
Yeah.
And, like, Oda does it without ever going into, like, background on him. It's just, like, the way he talks and fights. I'm just like, this is terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Like,
yes.
It's great character all around. Ah!
Yeah.
And then fucking Hakuba comes out, slashes his ass. I was just like, cool. I think Hakuba's cool.
He is cool.
I noticed here that, like, back then, only Luffy could notice Hakuba. I was like, oh, that could be observation hockey, like a subtle use of it, because Oda loves using observation hockey in subtle ways throughout the series, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way he could keep up with that speed.
Oh.
But, so, because the Straw Hats don't get many of the fights here. Actually, Frankie gets his too, right? And really, Robin gets shafted. We'll just be real. But Robin gets to play a support role throughout the arc. But I like how she's able to restrain Hakuba like it's nothing, despite, like, it doesn't matter how fast he is. If she gets her eyes on you, she can restrain you.
I liked how much, like, there's not a ton of focus on Robin as a character in this arc, but, like, in terms of how much she's getting to do, I was pretty satisfied.
Yeah, like, a lot of people will be upset because Robin never gets the solo fight. But I like her support role in this arc was actually pretty significant.
Yeah, they couldn't have done it. They couldn't have done most of this without her.
Yeah.
Honestly.
This is totally a reference to Imperfect Cell, and you can't tell me otherwise. I mean, come on, he's turning into a fat explosion bomb because he's salty about losing.
Yeah, you know what?
And then the hero comes over there and is like, I'll sacrifice myself to save you. Bye, Gohan. Come on.
Do you
he does say bye, Gohan.
Yeah. Do you think he can make a barrier within his barrier? Like, he can make a bubble and then make another bubble that he's in?
I think he's limited in surface area, he mentions. Like, there's only so much surface area of barrier he can make.
We're going to resolve this comment.
Sure.
Why did you stop me?
I forgot that this was a thing where he, like, half and halves.
Yeah.
Where, like, he's half in control.
Yeah.
It's like, we just met Cavendish, but he's going through his own little character development where he's, like, controlling Hakuba. But I just thought this was neat. And that is a move in Pyro Warriors 4. But, oh, come on. Barrier Pistol's the hype shit.
That was the fucking best. I felt so good for our boy.
Man, he's like this, like, he models that move after his fucking hero. I'm gonna be worthy of helping you. And you are.
Boom!
You're a fucking Chad.
Reminds me of Luffy also punching Bellamy into the ground, too.
Maybe.
Every time Bartolomeo comes up, I do like. I love him, and he's so entertaining. But then I always remember when they introduced him in the arena, like he totally murders a bunch of people.
Someone commented on that, and I forgot what they said. I think they were like, "Well, you know, the government also misrepresents Luffy's deeds."
Yeah, so
like, here's hoping that he's not as scummy as.
Just like that's the thing is, I can't see him being like a
cannibal
serial killer. Like I just don't see it.
Well, the cannibal was a pun, as are most things.
Oh.
Well, I feel like he's the rough and tough guy who's probably killed people before, but probably in like more like gang fights, like scruffian kind of deals.
If you ever end up in court, no matter what it is for, look at the judge and just say, "Your Honor, it's a Japanese pun."
Your Honor, time.
Yo, it's the most broken move in Pirate Warriors 4.
Yeah, this one's fucked up.
Really?
Yeah.
But, this is a really good move.
Like, Bradley, I have a combo set up that I showed Willer where I will walk up to a boss and kill him like 2 seconds with this move.
Because these put little satellites on Robin, and when she walks by people, they start spinning and attacking people. So you can move independently of them attacking.
Yeah. And I just juggle them to death. Like, I just get into an infinite combo and kill them. Like, hey, it's dead.
Joe loves Robin so much that she's actually kind of tough to play, but Joe's like a genius with her.
He's like, I will make it work.
Yeah.
I'll make this work for us, baby.
No, like, I figured out how to get 2 Robins at the same time and start comboing in different directions.
Yeah, he knows how to control both Robins. I don't know how to do that.
Jeez, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Great character. Everyone's a player. Anyways.
I'm too busy playing Big Mom.
Was there anything else you want to say about
this? Play Big Mom?
Just Robin. Robin being clutch. There's a clutcher Robin moment. We can move on.
Oh, it's Bradley's favorite character.
Sherry's introduced, finally. We've heard about her before.
Everyone, just let it be known she's the cutest thing.
I feel like you'd be really into her design. But also, like, I think it's cute how she, like, is really bratty to Leo. I think they have like a cute little relationship as well.
I feel like if we had a One Piece MOBA, Bradley would main Man Sherry.
I don't know who's more precious, her or the mermaid princess.
Oh, Shirahoshi for me. I love Shirahoshi.
They're both great.
She's big.
Yo!
Can we talk about how fucking clutch Leo is in this scene?
Leo's great!
So in this scene, Giola is like torturing Mancheri to get her tears, and she's about to sprinkle it on every single person who's been knocked out. And Leo, so first of all, Cub is the rhinoceros beetle one. He knocks away the people so the tears don't land on them. And then Leo zips through all of them and smashes them all into Giola. And I'm just like, man, like, these aren't the Straw Hats, but Oda is trying his best to get these people their moments. And again, I feel like it makes more sense in rereading when you know what becomes of these characters, but I just think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, and it's like any one of these chapters in isolation is like a god tier manga chapter.
Yeah,
it's just like after 100 of them, you're like,
yeah, I think that's another part of it. It's like we were talking about the length of the Doflamingo fight versus the Lucci fight, and they're actually kind of similar. But the Doflamingo, the pacing in them is a little weird, which I'll talk about later. But also the Doflamingo fight is like roughly 7 chapters out of 100, while the Lucci one is 7 chapters out of 50-ish. So
yeah, it's like 50 or 60.
I like this little gambit they set up here at the end of this battle. It makes for a climactic showdown. But basically, it's like Frankie's like, I'll take 1 hit, but if I survive it, I'm gonna fuck you up. He's like, I bet.
This is the equivalent of Willer saying, "You better fucking kill me when I go into a combo."
I was fighting Austin yesterday, and I was like, Austin, you better fucking kill me right now. As soon as I get out of here.
You were making that Frankie face.
Yeah.
Dude. Look how cool Frankie looks here. He's still the GOAT. I don't care
Look
how
at this
big
guy.
And then Senor, he has the grace to admit I lose.
This is sick. This is some Terminator vibe.
Because he goes up the entire tower, crashes Frankie, and they're like, it's done. And because Frankie's back is still human, I guess he didn't change that part of himself when he redesigned his body. But Frankie gets up like a fucking Terminator. He's smiling.
That look on Frankie's face is like one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen.
Oh my god.
It's like, I'm done. I'm 2 negative frames.
I'm on recovery.
Oh, fuck.
Look how cool this Jesus!
Frankie Iron
Boxing!
Jesus.
That is a throwback move too. He uses that move against Fukuro for a little bit, but here it's the finisher.
Goddamn.
But Senior Pink just stands there and takes it. I think this leads us into the Senior Pink flashback. Now, Bradley.
Yeah.
Did you ever expect a Senior Pink flashback, first of all, and for it to be this good of all things?
You know, I never expected it, but I always kind of hoped.
You always have that hope, but yeah, I like this idea that like to make his comatose wife smile because he's the reason why she's in this state. He dresses up like an idiot and he doesn't care what the world thinks of him, which makes him even sexier.
That makes him even more hard-boiled.
Oh my god. I love this flashback. This is one of like, this one was Oda flexing. Like, he did not have to do this one, but he's like, just because like all these mangaka need to be reminded who's the king here. He did
It's
it.
like every character in One Piece has a backstory, and they're all fucking god tier.
Brothers.
God, look.
This is a great little fucking page. Frankie coming back and saying that he's gonna.
Yes. Hold on. I have a thing to say about this. I'm getting my charger.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Well, I kind of really like it. Senior Pink's coming back. 12th member of the Straw Hat crew coming at you hot.
That'd be cool. Russian and Gimlet are the child and wife's name. And I forgot what the reference is, but yeah, like I love this like friendship that they form in this battle. Like he literally wipes away his tear with his giant robot hands. What are you thinking back on as you cry, brother? That's such good dialogue.
God.
Cool. And then like Frankie came here to destroy the factory. Like he took me, and I mentioned earlier, like I love how Frankie really took ownership of this particular task because of the Dotatas. And he sends them off, and he's like, "I'm fucking beat. Like
I'm done."
Is yours, Luffy." I love that. Like I love that trust they have in each other. I feel like people really sleep on Frankie's inclusion in this arc.
I love like cyborg Terminator half face Frankie going on here.
Yeah,
I think it's just sick.
I hope he gets that fucked up pretty soon. Actually,
Hell yeah.
Yo.
This one's just a great use of paneling.
Yeah.
Cutting the bubble into two.
This reminds me of Lion Song a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because Zoro does the.
Zoro like, and it shows like the trailing blade as well.
This is Kairos versus.
This is Kairos versus fucking Diamante, which Diamante killed his wife, so they had to go this way.
Yeah.
If I'm solid anything, then I am this country's solid rage here to vanquish you. Like
Jesus.
This motherfucker's angry.
I
love it.
I didn't mention it. I might have mentioned it last, but I like Diamante's fruit. I think that's interesting. I just
I think the flag fruit is like when I think of One Piece-esque powers, it's that kind of power that I think of.
I'm a flag man.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I kind of wish that we got to see a little bit more.
He actually does more moves than I remember. Like,
Okay.
He makes the ground Ripley. He creates like a flag bowl to like poke people with. He does stuff with his sword.
I just like the idea of the sword being like fluid, but it's still sharp, so it can cut you, and that's just terrifying.
His cape actually is made of pure metal.
Oh,
but it's
right.
always in flag state.
Yeah,
Like, he has cool stuff going on for him, I think.
Can you play as him in Pirate Warriors 4?
You can beat him up, but you cannot play as him.
Can you play as Baby 5 in Pirate Warriors 4?
No.
That is such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so good.
That Char moveset would be fucking
Rad.
golden.
It'll be a DLC one day.
I will say that there are some characters though that I'm glad got in, considering when that game came out.
Bastardo!
Yeah.
Showing the cool finishers, cutting through the blade.
Yep.
I thought it's just funny that his move is bastard.
Yeah, but it's like, I think what's also good is that he is cutting through like a thing that is more or less like incredibly flexible, so it makes it harder to cut through. You know?
Yes.
So,
well, I imagine the sword is in solid state here because I think Oda would have drawn it wavy otherwise.
maybe, but it's still like an impressive feat that like it's hard to cut a ribbon when you're just swinging about.
Yes, true that.
And then Robin getting fucked up by.
Yeah, so I really like this where Robin's like, go Rebecca, go to your father. Like she protected her with the sunflowers, but she took the hits to her back, and I'm like, Robin's a straw hat now. When you get horribly physically maimed to protect others, like that is like dumbass straw hat behavior that I love.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Pika!
Man, okay. I think Zoro has a very interesting fight in this arc because it is a very non-Zoro fight. Um, in a lot of ways, this fight is Zoro having to use his brain a lot, which is not generally Zoro's a technique guy. He just goes in and either raw strengths or techniques the guy to death. But here he has to be a little more crafty. He has a bunch of different ways to handle Pika, and a lot of the arc is Zoro running from this point in the bottom to the plateau where he's currently at because he's trying to stop Pika from advancing because he's gonna crush the whole palace and kill everyone. So like it's very important that Zoro stops him.
Yeah, this was just a badass fight because like first of all he's having to like try to deduce where in this giant body he might actually be.
Yeah.
And then when he cuts it in half, he has to be like, okay, which half is still kind of moving a little bit because that's the half he's in.
Right, which I think is probably the next few pictures is like some of the problem solving. Cool SBS.
That is a very cool SBS. We better have the ass and titties SBS in here.
Oda just liking boobs.
He's drawing the dreams of boys and people all over the world.
That's the same wavelength.
We like boobs here at the Roundabout Cast.
If Bart is in the same wavelength as Joe, then Oda's in the same wavelength as Bradley.
Hey.
Here's I guess the other reason why this exists, I suppose.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So that'll probably be important later.
Poneglyph.
Oh yeah, we found this in the ruins. Riku's character keeps hitting this beat of retaining the humanity even when things are looking most bleak. Riku refuses to like turn into combat unless he really needs to, which I guess like Rebecca really embodies that as well. So
especially because like what happened to him is that his whole body, its knights got possessed and just caused havoc throughout the town.
It's true.
So I can understand why he would feel that way.
Yeah, he had those views before, but I like how he's been able to maintain them. But
bunch of fucking nonsense.
Million-fold tricloclism.
Whatever the fuck that means, it looks awesome.
Dude, you gotta understand, Pika's like bigger than Oars. Pika's fucking huge. And Zoro's out here slicing it through him. But like Bradley said, like this basically turns into a binary search where he has to like keep splitting Pika in half. So Zoro's really the first programmer in One Piece.
Honestly, truthfully.
So I have a question, Willer.
Yes.
When was the last time Zoro fought somebody that wasn't based around the sword?
What do you mean?
Like, so, like a one-on-one fight, he fought someone that wasn't a swordsman. Because, like...
Well, Pika technically uses a blade, but I don't know if I would call him a swordsman.
Yeah, he's not.
Because before, the one I can think of before, there's probably a Fishman guy that had the sword,
Fishman Island, Hyozo.
And then before that was Ryuma. And then
Bark.
Kaku. And then Skypiea.
In Skypiea.
Was Ohm a swordsman? I don't think he was.
Yeah, Ohm had a cloud sword.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So then there was
and then Mr. One.
So yeah, this is like the first person he fought that isn't a swordsman. Like as a
What's interesting about Zoro, and I like you might have noticed this, Bradley. Zoro has barely had to try in the New World. Like he is very strong right now.
Because he's already beaten Mihawk.
Stop with this Joe bullshit. This would be the worst twist unless it's the best twist, but I really don't see it being the best.
I hope it's not true, but also if it was true, I'd be very happy for my friend Joe.
Because no one would dare think that. It's only Joe. The next one's I think the finisher hit, which is 3,000 Worlds, which used to be Zoro's ultimate technique. He used it against Mihawk before he got obliterated. It's cool that he finishes him off with it. Also, full armament hockey never works for anyone.
Never.
Ever. But this is interesting sword lore. Zoro is all about like the way he advances his swordsmanship. So a new mechanic introduced is creating a black blade. But the way it's mentioned here, I still don't fully understand the mechanics to using hockey to create a black blade. Because like...
Oh, dude, you don't even need hockey to create extra arms. So, like,
true.
I feel like...
you know, hold that thought.
Yeah.
You know what?
Hold that thought.
I feel like what Mihawk is saying is that like you can infuse your swords with hockey to make them black blades, and thus making every single one of them a black blade. But you can still make innately black blade swords like anyone can use.
I get it because if like roll back all the way to Logtown, there's multiple grades of sword, and I I thought Supreme was the top one, or does it go Supreme then Black?
I think it goes Supreme then Black.
So I guess what Mihawk is saying, like with the right amount of hockey,
you can make anything.
Even a normal blade can be as well built as a black blade.
Yeah, I think that's
cool. I think that's actually really cool.
Y'all, I just had this thought just now. I feel like the vast majority of Zoro's smiles in One Piece are during fights.
Yes, that is actually totally true. Especially after like around Water 7, he smiles less and less. I mean, he still smile, like he'll chuckle with the crew and he'll be in gags, but you're right, like he gets he has the thrill from Stormlight Archives. He has that one.
I think also part of it is that like everyone has a role in this ship, right? But Zoro's main role is to fight. That is why he was brought on. He's like Luffy's like, I need another strong person.
Yeah, he's one of the powerhouses.
Yeah. Like even Sanji, who's
the other powerhouse, has another role. Like
yeah.
Zoro is the only strict fighter in the crew.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And sometimes he'll be the second captain as needed.
He is the fighter class of the Straw Hats.
So that's where he derives his joy.
Yeah.
I mean this just leads into the punch. But this is like Luffy being particularly smart. Emotional mastermind moment 35, yes. It's like he said he set you free, but you're staying here hoping to die to fighting me. Like, don't you think he knew this would happen? Like, even Luffy's privy to this. So that's when you know you fucked up.
I just think Oda's is great at giving Luffy the right amount of intelligence when necessary.
Luffy has the perfect intelligence. It's
like
kind of uncanny.
It's because like you get to these points, you're like, wow, you're completely right. How did I miss that? But, like, it doesn't feel, like, out of character. Like, in Alabasta, when he's, like...
He's talking to Vivi and smacking her ass?
Yeah, like, it's like, you don't have to go find your friend. You need to go take down Crocodile. That's what you have to do.
Just another day in the life of the emotional mastermind.
BOP!
Blam!
Get your ass whooped.
You know what's fucked up that was just brought to my attention with the inversion video? Luffy does it with his left this time. It was even easier for him. Oh man! And the first time he did it with his right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bellamy. You know, but that's him holding back too. Like, that is so subtle. Like,
there's layers, man. There's layers.
This was nuts. Whoever caught this,
I don't even fucking know how.
Hold on. People gotta explain themselves.
It's basically like when Crocodile became a warlord years ago. And it just matches up with the flashback, and he's in the newspaper barely. That's so insane.
What? And the thing is, too, is like I'm pretty sure at this point when this chapter came out, we didn't have like Viz Online.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think there was a way.
Yeah. No, you're right. It was scans back then.
Yeah, and scans aren't that clear.
Like, whenever I saw this at first, I was like, "What the fuck, motherfucker, is out here fighting this?" And then I was like, what the fuck fucking manga artist is doing this level of detail?
That's what it really comes down to. You know, One Piece being as big as it is why we can find this shit.
Yeah.
This is more Law stunting on Doflamingo, giving him the finger.
Oh, yeah.
But also, like, the belief in Luffy. Yeah, I think that was the real takeaway here. It's like, even if you take me out, like, you're going down. Straw Hat's here. Just love it.
Yeah.
Love to see it. I also like my commenting system because I can remember this shit while I took these pictures. I'm always evolving. I like Doflamingo questioning and the frustration he has over the symbol now that he's like stopping to think about it. It's like, what are you insinuating when you won't even sit on the hearth throne? Why do you have this on your back? What are you trying to say? It's just interesting that Doflamingo's that introspective. I also like how Law gets out of this by like substituting his body with just a rando. He's like, sorry, dude.
Gamma Knife!
Gamma Knife is Law's ultimate move. I guess it takes his own life force, because I think there's something where like this will drain all your stamina.
He named it after Gamma from Sonic Adventure 1, who killed himself.
Yes, who is his favorite character. I believe in SBS has that like Law's favorite character is Gamma and Luffy like Sonic, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're like, is it called Gamma Knife because Gamma kills himself when he does his ultimate attack? And he's like, yeah.
I will say Law's stamina gimmick is loosely used. It's one of those loose power systems. Like, a little give and take, but it's all for narrative. Like, it's not like...
But like how big his fucking room is.
Yeah, his room is already huge. Like, I had to cut it, because he had it over, like, almost all of Dressrosa earlier, so it wouldn't be noticeable. That's how he
operated.
Yes, and that's his clever little switcheroo, which he's done multiple of these throughout the
With
arc.
the lost stamina, Oda's like, look, if they're this far in the story, I can be bullshit about it. They're gonna keep reading.
Yeah. It is the OP fruit.
Ah.
Oh, I love this shit. The Enaru throwbacks where he's like, I stitched my heart back together with my string fruit, because like otherwise I would be falling apart right now. Like I'm literally holding on by threads inside my stomach, which does mean Luffy goes into the final round with a pretty solid handicap. Now, to be fair, Luffy's also been exhausted by running around all of Dressrosa and letting himself get punched by Bellamy like 50 times. So,
Yeah.
But then it leads to one of the greatest panels in One Piece. So,
Yeah.
I love this one. The intensity. This is when Oda's size differences are used to their maximum effect.
Yeah.
Where like it just looks like a David Goliath situation.
Doflamingo's a giant.
And I like
yeah.
What I like here is that you get the clash in the middle, and then the two side panels here, you have Doflamingo's side hustle, and then Luffy's side hustle on one side. On both sides of
them.
Just a well constructed scene, and the action moves downwards with the foot.
It honestly looks like a wrestling match poster. That's what it looks like.
It really does.
Like
Luffy is drawn here so incredible. Like Oda's been drawing Luffy's eyes when they're intense so like distinctly, and his mouth too. Something about it.
I mean, there's
just hits.
You can't just look at this page and not think, "Let's fucking go," because like this is the moment where you're like, "This is it. It's the final round."
Fight. It's the final right, so it gets interrupted.
It's final round part 1, and then they take a break, and then the actual final.
It's the final match of the set.
There you go.
But like the choreography here, I think is excellent. So like this fight is still a fucking banger. Like even before Gear 4, I like how Luffy deals with this fight. And this is another moment where the smaller body is used really well, because like Luffy spinning all over Doflamingo, and like it just looks cool when like, I don't know, he's just kind of darting all around them. I just really like it.
He's just like these pages were just cool to me because like I feel like this is probably the best showcase so far of how much Luffy's fighting style evolved during the time skip, because this is like the first foe since the time skip. I feel like he's had to go this level of all out against.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And like you can just see like it's all of the moves he's used before, but with hockey in various places.
But also like there's technique here, and he's always been really agile. I think you can describe Luffy's fighting style as pretty agile, but like it's
very
really
flexible
showable.
Here. But like like he uses the momentum of Doflamingo's reflective kick to propel himself in the other direction for a counterattack here.
Yeah, very cool. And anytime Luffy hits Doflamingo is really satisfying too. But
counter.
We got some other stuff. Okay, we talked about this. The reason why everyone is so loyal to Doflamingo is actually explored here. The champion of evil that he is today, basically, it's this idea that the runts of the world, the evil, also need a hero, which reminds me of what End Duel and JoJo's Part 3 says about Dio, where even the villains need their hero, and also it relates to Dio and Pucci's relationship. Basically, they look at this kid who already can do Conqueror Hockey, who is a celestial dragon, who has all this hatred in his heart, and they look at him and it's like, we can mold this guy into the Dream Maker. We can mold him into the king of the pirates, and we will have everything we've ever wanted. So these are the 4 generals that then become his main people, including Virgo, which is interesting. So like from an early age, they've molded Doflamingo into the ultimate tool of hatred, and that's why they are so loyal to him.
And then it's the scientist from the first Pokemon movie, and he's like, and we succeeded.
They did succeed. This is an important thing to keep in mind, because I feel like Hody was kind of different, but like people nurturing evil is a big theme in the post-time skip.
Someone taking the hatred that's been projected on someone else and then nurturing that into what they become.
Hody still kind of works in this,
because he's more or less like inspired by Arlong, and like, but yeah. How'd you get hurt? Some thug beat me out.
King of the pirates, he's gonna be king.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that answers that. Also, it's just cool. I just like.
Yeah.
Yo, what is
Basically,
this?
like, yeah, like they're just really enabling it, and then he gets fucking cut up.
I thought this was fucking Buggy for a second. I was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, how did Boogie's arm get here?
Yeah.
Clutch Boogie.
Clutch Buggy. I'm having
Oh, did Bradley just or Willie just die?
some
I think Will died.
connection issues for some reason. I
Oh
wonder if I can help.
shit!
Okay, we'll pause
It's
it.
Yeah,
Boogie.
I'm having some connection. Right, so not Boogie, just Law controlling his arm that was severed by Doflamingo's attack, which I didn't grab that attack, but it is my favorite attack of that section of the fight, where like what Doflamingo does is like he holds Law's arms with his arms and then hooks his leg around it, and then from the air like drops him into the ground and slices his arm off with his leg. It's so badass. But anyways,
Yo,
right, so this explicitly says that it was X Drake, which is nice.
That's cool.
who the fuck is X Barrels?
That's the guy who had the Ope Ope fruit. He was just a pirate.
Oh, okay.
X barrels.
And also, it's not X Drake, it's Diaz Drake.
Oh,
and
who's
I always,
Diaz Barrels.
well, I don't know him. I only know X Barrels.
Pronounce.
Is his name dead X barrels?
It's Diaz Barrels.
It's Diaz Barrels. I mean, fuck.
It says it right here. I figured it out. The X pronounced
okay.
Diaz name. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I thought y'all. I'm just like God.
This was cool because it's just like Luffy. I've been watching you slowly, and like as you've risen up, I saw your bounty jump up after you defeated Crocodile. I saw you were a D, and I'm like, I don't really fuck with those guys. And then you fell out of the sky, and survived, and turned the world upside down, and that's just kind of how Luffy rolls.
And it's really cool because it reflects what we've seen of Doflamingo, where he's been like sprinkled throughout the pre-time skip.
He really has, yeah.
Like whenever Luffy fell out of the sky at the Paramount War, you know, we saw Doflamingo there looking at him, smiling like, oh
Yeah.
fuck.
And in that war, like Doflamingo has that line about like justice, whoever wins. So like, like it's just cool that like such a prominent villain's giving Luffy his comeuppance, where it's like, you're respectable. I followed your work. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
And then this happened. So when this happened, we had to have a 2-week break while reading Weekly. You understand how messed up that was to a young boy's mind. I was probably in college at this point, actually.
God, and Oda was just rubbing his fucking nipples like.
Frankie nipple lights. You know, his nipples lit up. You and your cage are in my way. Gear 4. This was chills.
God, I didn't think there was gonna be another gear in the story.
Really?
And if there's a Gear 4, I think there has to be a Gear 5.
Yeah, I just got here and I was like, what there's a fucking Gear 4?
And I feel like Oda hides this well because we come back from like we have Gear 2 and 3, and then Luffy goes through his biggest losses. We come back to the New World, but it's not that tough for him, so he doesn't have to use it. Because Gear 4, if he doesn't finish the fight with it, he's made useless.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's hitting pretty well. So you could feasibly forget about it, but here it is.
Yeah.
God.
Boom.
Which leads us to this. Now, what do you think of Gear 4, Bradley?
Like aesthetically?
Let's start aesthetically.
I mean it's cool.
I think it looks so cool for a couple of reasons. This is like Luffy's strongest power up thus far, and it looks fucking ridiculous. It's so round.
There's also 100 Soul Chungo Luffy from.
Yes, which I feel like invokes some of this imagery. Like it definitely made me think of that when I first saw it.
I will say this is probably the coolest of the gear poses.
His steam creates a Raijin like cloud around him, like a Japanese god.
He does look like a god.
It's very intentional, and it's made explicit like later on as well. Like someone compares him to it.
Yeah, and
But
in
also-
SBS, I think Oda was like, yeah, I was going for like these particular statues, you know.
And like to have your main character have a power up that changes his silhouette so much. Something about like the artistic experimentation of Oda to make this such a menacing power up, I think is cool. But then on a functional level, what do you think about it? Because on the next few panels, we get to see a little bit of what this gear can do, which includes this awesome Kong gun attack.
Yeah, so I think this attack is fucking awesome. By the way,
It's the way that this is portrayed, like the something like it's the point of impact, and then the amount of distance he travels in one page sells the speed at which he was launched so excellently. Like, he's launched across half of Dressrosa with one attack. It's insane. But basically, Gear 4 gives Luffy higher control of his muscles. So basically, he's pumping air into his muscles as opposed to his bones. So it goes like, he pumps blood through his veins in Gear 2. He blows up his bones with Gear 3. In Gear 4, he's blown up his muscles, but also applying a hockey to them so that they can be springy, but also have defense to it. And then he's able to do shit like this, like contract his muscles into themselves, which is very cool. And then he can also, man, Joe, if you didn't grab this for our best panels of One Piece, it's definitely up there. We don't know where it would rank up. It's definitely worthy of the tier list.
That's what I want to know.
That's what I want to know. But then the following panels also godlike. Oh, I love how this is portrayed, where he's like, something's in a distance, and then you see Luffy through his glasses first.
God.
And what's cool is, like, Luffy is using... So if you don't understand what's happening here, because, like, I've seen it animated in multiple ways, Luffy is contracting his legs into themselves, kind of like he did with his fist, and then shooting out. And what that lets him do is imitate the moonwalk technique from CP9, which Luffy imitates the shave technique when he's doing Gear 2, where he moves real fast. And here he's imitating this moonwalk, so now Luffy can fly, which is leads to the aerial finale that we get there. We get the defensive capabilities of Gear 4 here. Glorp.
Also, Bradley, when he is doing this in like Pirate Warriors 4 or the anime, he sounds like a bouncy ball or like a basketball. Like
yeah, they mentioned that he can't stand still. He's always bouncing because his body is so inflated right now. This is Python is the coolest, man, where he can control the contraction of his muscles to keep stretching in odd angles and not retracting. Man, I love this fucking attack. He chases Doflamingo, and Culverin is maybe, or this is Python.
Culverin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, all his new moves are named after animal plus gun. So you have Kong Gun, you have Leo Schneider.
Yeah.
Or Leo something Magnum.
Rhino Schneider.
Yeah,
Rhino Schneider.
I remember after the time skip, I started noticing like a difference in the attack names. I was like, I gotta figure out the naming scheme, and then it's like, you know what, animals.
Animal plus gun. It usually or weapon. So now we get introduced to something actually Doflamingo did last time, and I pointed it out. Doflamingo actually did Awakening a couple like chapters back, and you're just kind of left with like what the fuck was that, and you don't find out for a bunch of weeks. But he introduces the concept of Devil Fruit Awakening. What do you think of this, Bradley?
Dude, is it like a Requiem stand or something? I don't know.
It's if you train a devil fruit enough, you can awaken it to allow it to affect things that aren't your own body. Now this doesn't apply to Logias that can always affect things that aren't their own body, but basically Doflamingo's able to turn non-organic objects into string.
Because the thing is, in general, a Logia is like the highest probably tier devil fruit, I think.
Yes.
But an awakened Paramythia has to be higher than that, because the thing is, Paramythias are usually pretty crazy, but like the inherent limitation is, you know, a lot of times like it's limited to your own body, but like if you're able to bypass that limitation, then it's like, holy fuck.
But this can't be a Paramythia only thing, which means let's think about how Awakenings could potentially work for Zoans, which I think we have a lot of hints to what they're like for Zoans from previous arcs.
You can turn inanimate objects into leopards and cows.
Well, if you'll remember, I feel like Monster Chopper is a hint to Awakening, first and foremost. But I also think there's jail guards in Impel Down, and they're explicitly called Awakened Zoans.
Whoa.
Now,
I didn't remember that.
I feel like they're submissive, so they were forced into Awakening or something, but we don't really get to know too much about that. But Awakening has been mentioned back then. And let's take it a step further. Do you remember that weird technique that Crocodile could do with his right hand, where he could drain the moisture out of everything and turn everything to sand?
Oh,
That was fucking Crocodile. And Crocodile was explicitly mentioned as someone who had trained his devil fruit a lot. So that could have been the first awakening.
Yeah,
as well.
because like for example, with Ace's fruit, like he can't just touch a thing and turn that thing into fire.
Yeah, he never showed that kind of ability. With that in mind, also, when Akainu and Naokiji, obviously the two strongest Marines, clashed, they changed the entire climate of an island. So, like, I feel like we're getting hints to Logias can also affect the environment with their elements, while Parametheus can apply their body's components to the environment. So Doflamingo can control and turn into strings. I don't know if he can turn into. I think he just controls strings, and now he can turn environment into strings and control them.
See, and then that begs the question: like, does Luffy ever awaken, or do we want him to?
Well, the second question is, of course, if this is a mechanic of the story, Luffy's gonna have to awaken eventually if he's gonna be the strongest. But then we have to think, what does Luffy's awakening do? I think it's as simple as he will be able to turn other things into rubber, potentially even the air. Another cool awakening thing, it was always weird how the Quake fruit created air fissures, like Whitebeard would punch the air and crack it. Potentially an awakening ability as well. But
and like if anyone's awakened, it's probably fucking Whitebeard, let's be real.
Yeah, like the Yonko and the warlords. But yeah, we're putting an end to the tragedy in the birdcage. Birdcage very
birdcage tragedy.
Birdcage.
Yeah, you know, whatever.
Bro.
That's like a fucking PETA, like an
imagine that flying at you.
Foreskin. Luffy ain't circumcised.
Man, he out there. So the controversial moment is when Luffy's not able to finish the fight, and the weakening of after using Bounce Man is that he can't do it for 10 minutes because his hockey needs to refill.
This is where my biggest break in Dressrosa happened.
Yes.
I actually did like the first maybe 2/3 of Dressrosa really, really quickly. And then I just kind of stopped for like a month or two.
Yeah.
Now imagine this weekly, where for the next month, plus breaks here and there, you're going to have to deal with the stalling of Gear 4. And I feel like this is where, despite Lucci and Doflamingo having equally length fights with pretty good choreography in both, this one might rub people off the wrong way, because with Lucci, the breaks come, it's like 1 or 2 chapters of fight, break, 1 chapter of fight, break, 1 or 2 chapters of fight, break, finale.
And then also you have sprinkled in like the other Straw Hats doing their fights, so you're at least satisfied in seeing what the other parts of the crew
here, all the fights have concluded already, and then you get a big chunk of fight, but then a pretty large 4-chapter break in between just that chunk of fight and the last chapter. There's only one chapter.
And most of these chapters are just kind of people running or trying to survive.
And a big complaint I had with Dressrosa, bad order. A big complaint I had with Dressrosa is actually the birdcage, because I feel like the birdcage is too indestructible for like someone's side ability. Like, this is just a passive ability Doflamingo can do.
I was about to say, I was like,
not even Fujitora and Zoro could stop. So I think it's too strong, personally.
It was really fucking strong, and then even then, like, it wasn't even fully committed to the it's totally unstoppable route, because then near the end of this arc, they're like, oh wait, no, we actually can push back against it a little bit.
Well, that I think works a little better, where they're just slowing down the momentum of its movement as it closes.
Yeah.
And I like how Frankie uses the like factory, which is made of sea stone, which can't be cut. Like, he specifically uses a broken piece of the factory to like hold it still. Now, this is Sabo being a good brother. He's fighting Jesus Burgess here. I look forward to more Sabo big brothering in the future.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now, I've turned around a little bit. We'll get to it in a little bit, actually. Man Sherry's being clutch, healing all the citizens so they can push back. I think that is cool. Everyone loves her.
I like this man. Oh.
So Gyat's is surprisingly cool in this portion.
Yeah.
And like he was just kind of a nobody to me before, and probably in our tier list, Joe, I probably didn't even recognize what he looked like.
Yeah.
He
Becomes a
went into-
sleeper hit.
He's a bit of a sleeper hit because, and this is where this break gets a little bit redeemed on my reread. Think of every arc. Luffy and the Straw Hats do almost all the heavy lifting to saving that village. Everyone pitches in, but in the Dressrosa arc, they make it a point where like literally everyone pitches in to help. And I feel like Dressrosa, more than any other island, earned their freedom in an interesting way. And like the pacing of it wasn't perfect, but I completely understand why Oda did it this way.
I think another thing too is like the imagery of it, because like in Alabasta, no one was aware of the tyrant that was underneath the sands, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it took a person literally punching that man into the sky and revealing it, the crocodile hanging underneath the waves, to show that entire like city that there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
But the city has been under this rule for a long time and should have recognized it sooner. And the only
and now
way
that they do, it's too late. So,
Yeah.
but it's very public.
But the only way for them to throw off these shackles and push back on this cage is to physically all work together to do it.
So like even at its shittiest,
Yeah.
Oda's still kind of fire.
Yeah.
So like that
So-
is just what we live with.
I kind of am more positive side of the bird cage, but the reason I like the bird cage is because it goes back to this wrestling cage fight thing we had at the beginning of the arc.
Yeah.
So
Thematically, I think it's great.
yeah,
For sure.
This is the latest in a long line of devices that I always praise Oda for using, where it sets the ticking time bomb for the arc. Like it's a time limit for the
He
arc, and
loves
it's like,
Time Bomb.
yeah, I just he does it in like every fucking arc, and I always like it.
Always works. And like I still to this day hold that it's too overpowered. Maybe it should have been someone else's ability. But then you couldn't have that clean KOing Doflamingo saves the country like 1-to-1. But I'll take the good with the bad here because there is good to it as well. That's my spiel. And Luffy shows up, saves Viola, and then the final fight truly begins, which is just one chapter of Luffy kicking Doflamingo's. Actually, Oda does the thing where I just love this cover.
Yeah, I love this.
this is hot. This is fire.
Robin is spicy here, man.
Yeah.
Zoro's having a great time.
I'll say, what country did everybody get? What country did everybody get?
So let's see. Usopp's Brazil, Zoro's Germany.
Yeah.
Frankie's China this time, and I think
I feel like usually he's the U.S., right?
yeah. These are different from their native countries. That
Because Robin's
Nami's U.S., Robin's India, Chopper's Canada, Brooke is UK, and Sanji's French, which is always the case.
Yeah. Whole baguette.
Everyone looks fucking great here, man.
This is fire ass.
Especially Nami and Robin looking fantastic. Might I say?
Too good.
Mommy Milker. I love the wording of "it's suffocating me." Like Luffy's had it. Like Doflamingo is just too disgusting to be let live, which leads to the very good finale. It was a rocky road getting here, but the final hit is so good.
Boom.
Because it is a direct inversion of crocodiles.
Is this up to this point the most satisfying punch in One Piece?
Dude, he destroyed the country with this.
But like, I think that's also good because now it levels the entire country back to the point where they can rebuild, and there's no like indication of the devilry that was here before.
I don't have the panels before this punch, but Doflamingo tried the panel right before is it smashing Doflamingo and breaking his glasses. Like it's in his face, and then you just cut to this.
Yeah.
And in Fishman Island, Fukaboshi, the mermaid prince, is like, fuck it, Noah, destroy this country and this horrible history so we can start over. Like, there's a big theme that Oda's giving here where it's like, after this much bad history and bad blood, you have to restart from the rubble and keep your heads up. But like destruction comes before the dawn. And the dawn's a big theme in One Piece, and I feel like so is the destruction that comes before it. Like, actually, great thing that we finished this arc today, because Sengoku, when he's talking to Law later, mentions the checkered fate of the D clan.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And I only understood today because there's a video going over how every arc in the post time skip is an inversion of 1 to 3 pre time skip arcs, and this one's clearly Alabasta.
Alabasta,
like
yeah.
this is like very clear. Even the finale, like if next page, Joe, if you go to it,
Yeah. I just want to mention that like this. I turned the page on this when I was reading it originally. Went, holy shit,
dude!
Because I thought we had like maybe another chapter of fighting. I was like, oh, they're gonna clash, and then they'll have like a one-on-one monologue. But like Luffy just demolishing this man to the ground.
Dude, you heard them say Luffy's gonna one-hit KO.
Yeah, and I love how it's called out like that. Yeah.
And this is one of those pages that just made me go. I would be terrified to be a normal person.
Yeah, Luffy killed like 50,000 people there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Let's be real.
I also like something to point out was that when I was reading this, I had to type in all chat in our old X Slack that was actually in Slack. Like King Kong Gun, and Will was like, "Holy shit, you're this far already!"
Yeah,
King Kong Gun.
King Kong Gun. What a cool name.
Yeah.
And then what's cool is, like Joe mentioned, I didn't get the fucking picture. Actually, no, this will do. Doflamingo's trading port was secret, but he was a very public figure.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, like Crocodile worked more in the shadows, so it's cool that Crocodile gets punched up into the light, and Doflamingo gets punched back down to hell, and literally exposes that port of trading weaponry. Which is really cool. And I also love the structuring of this page is very vertical as it's going down. And Law is like seeing the ending of something he's worked for the last 10 years. The people of the D are known as the enemies of the gods, and the god is getting punched back down to hell by a D clan, and like it just
I wouldn't even say
much
hell.
thematically works here.
It's Luffy's bringing them down to the earthly levels of regular humans.
He punched Doflamingo past that earthly level though. Like the earthly level's the ground, he's underground now, so I feel like it goes beyond that.
The Will of D stuff, like,
is picking up.
Yeah.
I was like, the rate at which it is getting mentioned is accelerated because, like, first it would get mentioned, and then like 200 chapters later it gets mentioned, and then 100 chapters later it gets mentioned again, and then like maybe 75 chapters later it gets mentioned again, and then Dressrosa, it's just been like every dozen chapters someone's talking about the Will of D.
I am very confident, but by the end of Wano we will get the first half of like the D explanation.
Yeah.
I just want to finish my checkered fate thing. That makes like with this inversion, it makes me think that like how the D clan operates is that there's always a D of destruction. Oh, wait, what if that's what the D stands for? It's the D of destruction.
It's all coming together for Willa right now. You just figured it out.
So there's always going to be a destroyer D followed by the heroic D, and that's just kind of how history and fate have repeated themselves. It's going to be Blackbeard is going to fuck up the world, and then Luffy's going to save it and lead to the dawn. I'm calling it now. D means 2 words, either darkness or destruction, and the second one's dawn.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then like everyone, they just all got blended together because
because like they're old, like they're all because technically they're all D, right? But that's just a theory.
See, I remember back in the day when I thought the D thing was like a family line. I was like, how is Jaguar D Sol related to Luffy?
I get like I don't know. Maybe it is, but then that family line is weird.
That would be a weird fucking family
line. If anything, the D was probably a kingdom, right? There was the kingdom of D or something.
The kingdom of the dawn, the kingdom of destruction.
And they probably, like, part of the Void Century is probably, like, that's when the Celestial Dragons defeated the D and kind of thrust them down as villains and took up the thrones. Something like that. Anyways, I just think it's interesting that, like, there's explicit upgrade fruits. Because I never really realized that
Who has the stick fruit? Who is this man?
Stick fruit. Oh, stick fruit is treble. It's the like.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking like sticks, like from branches.
I don't know if that's explicitly better than the wax fruit, but okay.
Anyways, neat.
All I know is arms fruit, best fruit.
Yeah, the port's exposed. I made it.
Yeah.
I made that point earlier. We can go.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh man, this page, as like okay, like let's all be real. Rebecca's okay. She's not bad.
She's fine.
She's not good, right? But like this page is just so like emotional to me. There's just something so messy about like her tears falling on Luffy, and he looks so peaceful right now. Like, oh,
Nobody does crying better than Oda.
really, truly.
You need to make crying look fucking like painful and ugly. You never want to do it or see
the way it should, you know.
Yeah.
Remember when Corazon said the D might be trying to destroy the world? Perhaps.
Destruction.
Perhaps it's through the cleansing of the way the world is right now that we can make a better world.
Just like
can see the sun and all that.
You know
Oh, this was just cruel. This is knowledge we were not privy to. Where this was
fucked up.
This was the last thing Ace said to Blackbeard before he was turned in. Don't tell my brother. I think briefly we also get the flashback as to why Sabo has not been in the story. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
This is big. This highlights what Fujitora was all about, because he's been mysterious this whole arc. And like Bradley was also confused. And even rereading this, I was like, I don't actually fully remember what his goal was. But basically,
like I was very mad at Fujitora for so much of this arc, but now I'm like, I totally get it, because it wasn't his philosophy basically like, if the government is the one who gave this guy power in the first place, and then we have to end up taking him down, doesn't like that just make us look terrible, right?
Well, it's not even an impression thing. That is what Akainu would say. It's more like, I don't have the authority to stop this government-sanctioned psychopath.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn a blind eye, because he's blind justice to it, and gamble on Monkey D. Luffy, a pirate saving the country and making that country question if the Marines are as just as they say they are. Basically, it's like, I want us to be shamed here because we deserve it, and I'm sorry that you have to go through this, and that I had to gamble on a pirate to get you out of this. And it's like, that is so cool. Yeah. That is such a cool character. Oh, what a cool boy.
What a nice purple dude.
I want to go play as Fujitora right now.
Oh my god.
Fire Wars.
This guy's broken as fucking Pirate Warriors 3, by the way, Bradley.
Okay. He got brought down to Earth back in
4.
Oh.
Well, barely, because there's even more broken shit in 4.
This was the wholesomest shit, man. They didn't even know what this guy looked like when they first created this alliance. He was a fucking toy.
Yeah.
But here they are, man. They work together. Like, I think the citizens of Dressrosa consistently through the arc are great. I think it's the Coliseum fighters that make it a little messy character-wise.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a hot take. Because I like the Tontadas, I like the Royal Line, even Rebecca, and I like Bellamy and the pirates. But then it's like the character bloat in this arc comes with the revolutionaries, but like they don't get that much screen time. So really, it's the Coliseum fighters for me.
I feel like if you cut out like, I feel like if you count the revolutionaries and Jesus Burgess and some of the Coliseum fighters, you have a much more tighter cast. That's a little bit more.
However,
yeah,
you do need everybody.
Yeah, that's the tough part, and like we'll get there. But Oda's kind of a genius, and it kind of bites him in the ass sometimes too.
Yeah.
And this is easily the largest ripple Luffy's ever caused.
I mentioned this to Willer, but this is like the first like global stage thing that is shown about Luffy throughout the entirety of the world.
Sure, Luffy interrupted the war, but he was just one extra person to the losing side.
Yeah, and like a much smaller drop even was at Eni's lobby. It's like, okay, so fucking what? There's a pirate out there that's opposing the government.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And then Alabasta gets covered up, so no one even knows what fucking happens there.
Alabasta was a cover job. So this and that's another cool thing about what Fujitora did. It's like there are there's an entire country of witnesses that it was not us. It was Luffy. It was a pirate that saved this nation, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Mama.
Yo, let's fucking go.
This was crazy because so Luffy and crew have an alliance against Kaido, but then you find out that other supernovas have an alliance against Shanks.
And it's just like I've heard the reports that Oda's trying to build something even bigger than the Paramount War, and I'm like, at any time I get to a page like this, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be delicious.
Can I point out that fucking Killer is eating his goddamn noodle through his hole in his hat?
Oda joked about this, and I didn't notice, but it's happening. He said his favorite food is spaghetti because he eats it like this. It also doesn't really work, but it's fine. It's cool till whatever.
Like, this is where his nose should be. Like, what the hell is happening here?
Part of it is going up the nose, but that's a sacrifice you gotta take.
All right.
This is cool because it vindicates Smoker in an interesting way, where even Tashiki's like, fuck, man, like, you really, just from this page, you get reiterated how frustrating it was for these characters to have Alabasta covered up that way, and, like, it's like, she's shedding a tear over the Straw Hat Pirates. Like, it's just sweet. Also, the kids are still with them, which is super cute. I think that's really cute. There's Mocha, right? That's the left girl. I love Mocha. I can't forget her this time. She's the best. Yeah,
Oh, fuck. Yelling.
They have their little spat where Akaino's like, you can't come back to a single base unless you capture Straw Hat Luffy. He's like, fuck you, Dad.
I don't understand is the anime shadows Akino's face the entire time every time you see an anime, which I don't understand because we already.
No, that's not true.
In the movies they do at least. Like he's just
interesting.
Shadowed.
Are you sure that's not Green Bull? Because we
it's
seen
the
Green
dude
Bull.
is smoking. He has a lava fist while he's sitting at his desk. And I'm just like, we know who this is.
The movies are silly anyways.
Yeah,
they're like
I love our sleepover.
This is wholesome because I like how the crew gets to hang out with Sabo for a little bit. Like, not even Luffy gets to, but it's reminiscent of when the crew got to hang out with Ace for a little bit.
Yeah, it's Luffy's fucking brother.
Now, if the post-time skip and the pre-time skip are inversions, part of that inversion theory maps, like, Little Garden to Punk Hazard and also Drum Kingdom to Punk Hazard with the medicine stuff in Drum Kingdom, but also, like, stuff like... You remember when the Land of Death is turning people into, like, stone, like, poisoned statues, and how Mr. 3 does the same thing with wax? There's all these little cute inversions and, like, callbacks to that arc. If this is true, what is the future of Sabo if he is the ace of this current timeline?
Oh, no.
Now, I hope the inversion is that maybe Sabo does an atrocity or something, or like Sabo is not the one who gets executed,
know
Or
what?
Sabo kills somebody.
If we have the inverse Paramount War and he's the ace, that means everybody in the story except for Sabo dies.
True that. He's got to punch everyone through the chest.
Oh, yes.
Oh, here's the...
Okay, I don't like this.
Yeah, this is...
But how do you feel about this one, Bradley? Like, it's fair enough, but it is clearly like I wrote myself into a little bit of a hole.
That's the thing. Oda did zero cheating here, but like
it's not his finest work.
Yeah, it's like I expect more of Oda. You know,
I really wish it was more of the sentiment that Luffy had towards Ace, where it's like Ace is doing his own thing, Luffy is doing his own thing. I need to be doing my own thing.
That's what I figured it was gonna be. Like Sabo, I thought instead of Sabo just not knowing, I figured it would have been like either he trusts his brothers or some shit like that.
I think Sabo having amnesia works in amnesia should be used rarely in every story, first of all. But Sabo having amnesia here works in the sense that it also is why he never reached out to Luffy or Ace ever before. It's the only way you can explain that. Like,
genuinely, I think it's probably the only way.
But like, you could also just say he's a revolutionary. He's like wanted by the world government. Because Dragon's like the most wanted person in the world right now.
Okay, but Dragon was chilling in Rogue Town.
I don't think that would stop Sabo from going to see his brother.
He's the second in command. He's very strong. He can go if he wants. So it's a necessary evil to tell this story.
Yeah.
Also, second in command without a devil fruit. Like, who the fuck is this kid?
Yeah, it was just pure hockey and hitting people with a pipe.
Yeah.
Until this day.
I love he keeps a hoodlum rap of like having the top hat with the pipe like a fucking British kid.
And that's just kind of a testament to like, in One Piece, willpower is ultimately like willpower matters so much more than a devil fruit.
It's all narrative. We're in a big theater production, and it's all about the story here. Just everyone who's like, Zoro never smiles in the post-time skip. Look at how wholesome this boy is.
Look at this dude.
He's just more serious than the other characters, but he's having a good time. Sabo leaves on a bunch of crows, which will come back later for some reason. Like, that is a weird way of travel, but there they are.
And I think also, like, we were talking about multiple roles, but I think also Zoro's role is to kind of be the more, like, straight edge figure of the group.
He's the straight man.
Yeah, which is okay.
He's a fucking idiot.
But we definitely... There's even a panel in the fucking party that comes later, and he grabs onto fucking Law and starts cheering with him.
Yeah, he's having a great time.
Yeah.
Get that shit out of here. People, I think One Piece just has so many characters and it's so long that people kind of forget these little things. I got this one because it's the second time we've seen these Kaido pirates do weird things I just wanted to point it out. Just put it in Bradley's mind. Also, Brooke is fucking cool at all times. Just one of the weird powers. He's turning his hand into a sheep's horn.
Yeah. I love Danny. I mean Brooke.
Danny is great.
Oh man.
Okay.
Oh god.
Maybe one of the best introductions to a villain ever. Because
that's the thing. I started reading these bubbles. I was like, where is Oda going with this?
What the fuck is this? Who is this?
First of all, a rogue. Cool to see him. He's chilling on a sky island.
He's beating the fuck up.
Last time we saw him, he was going into an island that was literally all the time on So that was fun. So he made it out of there, I guess. But we go to the next page. We get like the Super Eye Patch Wolf put me onto this panel. How beautiful the paneling is here with the 3 breaks of anticipation until the like harsh panel of the quick drop, just to show you like how big of a drop it is. And there he is, the goat himself,
king of the beasts.
It's so good because, like, as a writer, like if you are a writer and your story has hundreds of characters who are like, you know, supposed to be the biggest and baddest of wherever.
Yeah.
You know, he's introduced so many strong characters at this point, and so he's like, how do I use new wording to convey that? Okay, no, this guy is another level above all of the other dozens of characters that I say are strong.
There's only so many times you can say a dude is the strongest, right?
Yeah, and so this is just new language in these. The way he's presented Kaido, it's just like, this is a guy who could not die even if he wanted to, so how can you hope to take him in a fight?
Yeah.
Land, sea, and air. Out of every living thing in the world, this pirate is said to be the strongest creature alive. In a one-on-one fight, always bet Kaido. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And like, if you told me to picture King of the Beasts, like agnostic to whatever series I'm reading, it would have to look something like this. Like, this is the King of the Beasts.
Obviously inspired by Genghis Khan a little bit, I feel like, what I like is the page before this talks about, before they get to this page, talking about how indestructible he is, the previous page is all about his losses. How many times he's lost. And of course, these can't be one-on-one battles. He probably lost in big fights and gets captured because he's a drunk suicidal maniac. But the point is, he always escapes. Like, he gets captured and goes to prison a lot of the times. You have to imagine he doesn't make it to Impel Down because that would be a plot hole. So he probably he breaks out before he can even get transferred to this final prison. But I just think that's cool that, like, he's actually portrayed as a very flawed person who loses a lot but always gets up and will always beat you in the one-on-one.
And that just makes a much more attractive character.
It feels fleshed out. Yeah, it doesn't seem like an invincible Superman, but just but the closest you can get to it, you know.
So I want to talk about a little bit more about the bubbling here. I really like how we have each of these like descriptors on each of our 3 supernovas.
Yeah.
Because it gives us time to read what's here and then see the reactions each of them has.
Yeah.
So we get their body positions. So we have a nice little pacing of like this the large enormity of this man, and it feels like we are going around the room and seeing the reactions.
I was just about to say the smoke also helps. Doesn't it feel like the foreground could be parallaxing with the background?
I can see it now.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It's a great.
Also, his speech is done that way because he's probably drunk right now. That is what he does. So he mentions here, let this very world be destroyed. Let's start the greatest war this planet has ever seen. In this character's introduction, it seems like you were introduced with the goal that this guy wants to make a legendary Ragnarok final battle of the entire planet. That's badass.
That is badass.
Now, soon you'll get introduced to Big Mom, and then you'll get to see who did it better.
Yeah.
I'll say, because all I've seen of Big Mom is that one page where she's mostly in shadow, and it looks horrifying. Fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I think they both have S tier introductions for what their character is.
For different like reasons, but yeah.
Cool that this king comes back and then delivers like some pretty poignant dialogue about how like they were tricked by a pirate, blamed their king, and rejoiced in the temptations of wealth and violence. Only by witnessing the terror of death, they finally come to their senses and wish for peace. So basically, like, a new king shows up. through death and violence, are like, you know what? Everything's fine. This is the land of toys. We're gonna have a good time. But it's only like when faced with the reality of death, where they're like, no, let's be a peaceful kingdom instead. And he's pretty much just criticizing the people of Dressrosa. But I think that's very human of them. I think like that's humanizing of the kingdom. It shows a flaw to the people. I just, this page is just great. He's not buying it at all.
Yeah, they're like, you
yeah, Zoro has no comedy scenes.
Is that what the Sanji simps say?
Yeah, something like that. This hurt. This was kind of sad, man.
I know.
Does he not want anything to do with me?
And so Luffy's like, I gotta fucking.
Yeah.
All right. Don't lie to me.
And then she hits him with this, where it's like, I don't care that you were a murderer. Like, you are my dad. You're clearly a different man now. Like he's turned a new leaf. This is a great redemption story because I feel like you could very easily write the story of like, well, anyways, he murdered that guy one time, and then like clearly like you can't deny how much Kairos has grown as a person, and I feel like this was really well written.
Like this was always something that he had decided for her. Like, you know, she can't be close to me because I'm unclean. So having her be the one to say it to him now, like, no, it's okay. I'm proud to be your daughter.
You're all right, Rebecca. You're all right. Oh man, look at this shit.
I love this, dude. So this was one of the chapters I was reading before we started recording this, and I stopped on this page for a little bit, not only for the top of the page but also the bottom. But
yeah,
it's just so nice because it's like Korra. I don't know. Law's trying to think of all these reasons Korra would have helped him, like, oh, you know, tell me what you know about the D. You know, Korra mentioned that. And
yeah, was he interested in me because of my D? Like, basically?
And Sengoku's like, no, I promise you it wasn't that. You don't attach a reason to the love you received. He just fucking loved you. And that's so sweet. And then down here at the bottom is when I was having that thought where I'm like, I just love Law's expressions. That is a man holding back tears right there.
Yeah.
God.
The dialogue here is also fire. To think that the only man whom I could share memories of Rociante with is a pirate.
Yeah.
Like,
Sengoku and Law have a connection.
Who would have thought? And it's exclusive because no one else knew. He is the only. He and probably Suru are the only people who knew that like Rociante was an undercover.
Like this, they are alone in the world with this.
Then let us both keep him in our memory. That should be enough. You can live free.
Crazy.
I'm sure that's what he would tell you. Now, there's one of my favorite One Piece theories that I can now share in full force is that Law has always been an undercover Marine.
Ooh.
Now, I want to share this theory. I think it has a little bit of Wano stuff, so I might hold on to sharing it, but let me hit some of the points with it. That day where Suru saves Drake.
Yeah.
How did Law get out of that island, I wonder? Did he maybe stow away on the same ship as Drake? When we first meet these two characters, coincidentally, they're introduced in the same panel. And it's Law looking at Drake and being like, "Hey, Drake, how many people have you killed?" or something like that. So, like, they're exchanging this dialogue that implies they know each other. Maybe they went through different paths, but once upon a time, maybe they were both Marines, or Law is still a Marine. His name is Water D. Law, or
Trafalgar D. Waterlaw.
Trafalgar D. Waterlaw, as in the law of the water. And his ship is a submarine.
You know what?
Now, there's more to this theory, and there's stuff that happens in Wano that like also reinforces this, but I really like this theory in context to this panel, because what Sengoku doesn't realize is that he is not sharing this with a pirate. He's sharing it with a fellow patriot of the Marines. And why would Law's idol, who was so like in those last moments, he was so proud of being a Marine, but he goes on to be a pirate. I feel like you could spin that either way, where it's like, well, it just didn't work out right for Law. He still had to become a pirate, or like, no, Law did follow directly in Corazone's footsteps potentially. So
yeah,
just putting that on the table.
Like all this.
Uh-oh. Bradley?
He's dead.
Like a secret marine.
Oh,
But is that like is that a thing that Oda would keep under wraps for 200 or 300 chapters? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
because you just asked, what is Law's story from now on? Isn't that a good question? Wouldn't it be something if there's a certain betrayal where it's like, Luffy, I wasn't actually a pirate all along. I was actually planning on turning you on you eventually, but clearly that's not going to happen. They're fucking
the law is
now.
so not going to turn on him.
Yeah.
But it could be a thing. And we'll visit this as more.
Like, to me, like, if it turned out Law was secretly a marine, I would just be like, oh, okay.
Really? Okay. I think it'd be really
that's why dragging it out for 200 or 300 chapters, I'm like, is that a big reveal? I don't know.
I mean, it would depend what he does with it. Like, so what if he's a marine? It depends where we're at the plot at that point.
I guess so.
But also Law's future could be Will of D stuff because clearly that was important to him, and there's no marine stuff, and like figuring out the Will of D is a very good reason to stay in the story.
I think also like because Corazon mentions the Will of D a lot to Law, so I think to him, like, you know, I've revenged him on the Doflamingo side. I now need, like,
just find out the truth
because obviously this guy was interested in, part of his will was to figure out what the D meant in relation to the celestial dragons, and I need to figure that out.
And this one's explicit in the text. Like, Law's clearly interested about the D stuff. This is just cute. Luffy calling out his attacks. What Dalmatian? This was so wholesome.
This was very, very wholesome.
And you know what? This is more of the Dressrosa populace really putting in the legwork to make their freedom worth it. I think out of every country, I like the people of, like, the randos at Dressrosa the most. Because of stuff like this.
Yeah, this was a great moment reading. Like, it's...
Which leads us to the even greater moment. Yeah. Oh my god, look at this guy. What features do you wear? I suppose I should not close my eyes. Now I want to take a gander at your face. Because we learned earlier that Fujitora blinded himself because something he saw was so fucked up that he just didn't want to look at this world anymore. And the fact that he's like, well, fuck, I take it back. I want to see your face at least.
The way people treat this man, he's like, he must have a mighty kind face.
Oh, this is a bind.
I don't suppose this weapon over here will reflect too well on me.
Great. Very, very likable character. Elbaf Foreshadowing, the most foreshadowed arc in all of One Piece.
Honestly, we've been waiting for Elbaf since, like,
Little Garden.
The chapter count is less than 100.
Yeah. Like, we have to go there. At
some point, I was like, maybe we won't go to Elbaf, but, like, now that I'm looking at it, every couple of arcs we're like, Elbaf, right?
Especially, so it's gonna be one chapter in the
especially now in Wano. It's just like, we have to go there. There's no, like, it's
like, Bradley, to put you in the perspective of a modern reader. A lot of people predict that the only things left in One Piece are Elbaf and then literally the final arc. Like, that's where we're at in the story. So, yeah.
But how does Gaimon fit into all that?
Oh, so importantly.
Yes.
I just want to be king of the pirates. And I want to be some kind of big shot.
I wanna bring us back to that time when Luffy said his true dream, but the camera cut away. Bradley was very skeptical. He thought he just said king of the pirates. I just want to iterate. I think he super didn't, because I don't feel like you'd cut away from that when Luffy's been saying it the whole series.
Yeah.
So, like, Luffy's true intentions are a little mysterious. We can talk about them in the future. But he's also, like, as far as becoming king of the pirate, it's just kind of a thing he wants. He says it's the most free man in the world. I think he said that somewhere in, like, maybe it was Sabaody.
I think he says it soon after this, or, like, there's a page after this where it's
it might even be this arc, but it's the most free man in the world.
It's like, it's not about being big.
He has aspirations beyond that, like... It's not about being a big shot.
I'll say, because, like, when he was little and he decided he wanted to be a pirate, the natural end goal to that is king of the pirates. And other people are like, well, you need to think about, like, the political implications of this. And he's like, no, like, I want to be king of the pirates.
And that's exactly it. I feel like One Piece, I mean, let's not sidestep it. There's been a growing sense, and even up to Dressrosa where Bradley is at, that there's a bit of prophecy or destiny going on in this series, right?
Definitely.
And we don't know to what extent, if it's very direct or if it's going to be like because of Luffy's demeanor, he became the great person that the world needed kind of thing. But the point is, no matter which way we slice it, I don't think Luffy's gonna care. It's like I don't. Was I a chosen one? Okay, cool.
If Luffy learned that there was like a 10,000-year-old prophecy with his name etched in gold somewhere on Mars, he would not give a fuck. He's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep doing me.
And it could be that self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, because he doesn't give a fuck, he can be that joyous like the character of Joy Boy was mentioned very mysteriously in Fisherman Island, where he made a promise to the Mermaid Queen.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he comes up very infrequently, but I feel like he's super important, so I just want to bring him up too. Anyways, hold on,
sorry.
Go back.
My bad.
This is a big moment. First of all, when we were reading this weekly, it was so fucking high. No one saw this coming. This was so unexpected. And I feel like Dressrosa is a frustrating arc because it works better in hindsight when you realize your time is not being wasted when it's being spent with these characters. But it's impossible to know that going in, which I feel like was that the right thing for Oda to do or not? Like, it's tricky to talk about.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, before we were going to record this, I still had 4 chapters left to go in Dressrosa, and Willer's like, you kind of need those last 4 chapters. And then when I got to this panel right here, I was like, you're so right. You do need these chapters to talk about Dressrosa.
Because I went through the same thing when I was reading this. I'm like, why the fuck do we have all these characters in here? And you get to this chapter like, oh,
because it's a brilliant way to wrap up the Revolutionary Army into an arc where we finally fight Doflamingo, into an arc where we learn, like, we have stuff with, like, dwarves, which Nolan mentioned way back when, and then you slide these guys in so you don't have to introduce them later, so when the final war finally comes, we already have an attachment to all these characters. So it's brilliant in that sense, but it also damages the first read.
Yeah,
so
it does.
I don't know. It's a true gambit, which, you know what? Given the theme of this arc with Fujitora, a gamble like that is actually thematically fitting.
It's like now that Dressrosa is complete, I call it a good gamble. But like a few chapters ago, I would have called it a bad gamble.
And it's tough. Bradley literally 2 hours ago did not know this was happening, and I think it maybe slid his bar on Dressrosa a little bit more towards the positivity side.
It did slide it, because like I was initially sitting on like a 2.5 on Dressrosa, so now I'm probably more like a 3.5.
Okay,
this is good.
It's fair.
Oh man, we're almost there. I think we have like 2 pictures left. We're doing it. Oh, come on,
dude. I'm so glad y'all at least grabbed this page.
Of course, man. This was beautiful.
Is my hand warm? Oh man.
Because like, he was a toy and they couldn't feel each other. They couldn't do it. She didn't even know back then.
Oh my god. I want to hug him.
This is legendary stuff right here. And there's Zoro having a good time. But
this is very reminiscent of the page when Blackbeard and Ace fight, and then the manga's like, you don't know what this is gonna fucking do to the world.
And you did it. No one could know.
And then this is the exact same energy, like, oh god, a few hundred chapters.
How can you be writing your 800th chapter and like it's just the breadth of One Piece, I think, is what makes it like such a contender for like best story, just because it's just so much and it's so interwoven. I like how Abdullah or Jeet, I don't know which one that is sharing meat with Luffy. Like, that is such a minor one of the Colosseum fighters. He doesn't even join the Alliance, by the way, I don't think. Or no, he does, I guess, because he's here. Maybe.
I think he's part of another person's crew.
Oh, wait, everyone formed underneath the boxer guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So basically, they're all part of the Alliance, I suppose. So, like, he's such a... The one thing he did in this arc is he rode in that buffalo with Luffy and Zoro, and they're like, why are you here?
Yeah.
And then they killed the fake Doflamingo and then got killed themselves.
Yeah.
Now they're here eating meat. I just think that's cute.
Zoro doesn't have fun anymore. He's a big stick in the mud.
He's a big stick in the mud.
God.
Oh, man. And then we get to...
Bradley.
the fucking Lucci.
Dude, I was losing my shit. So we were all in the chat together, and I think Willer went to the bathroom or something.
Yes.
And then I saw this, and I was losing my fucking shit for like a whole minute with Joe there.
I was sitting there on that page, like I know Bradley has to react to this page, because if he does not react to this fucker showing up, it's
because I was reading all the dialogue here. I was like, oh my god, CP0, let's see what they're up to. I was like, oh yeah, that's Spandam, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, fuck that guy. And I read all the text on the bottom page. I was like, okay, cool. I was going to the next page, and then I flicked my head back over. I was like, is that a pigeon? I was like, where? No. I was like, he's back. And I'm like, just like Rob Lucci was one of the coolest fucking fights in One Piece. And I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have a time
killing
skip
the story, baby.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
A time skip Lucci. Oh my god.
I mentioned this to Bradley, but like he's like a perfect like kind of Darth Vader-esque villain. Like just the
I think he has just a sliver of depth, but he's all action and it all works.
Yeah,
like,
and
he's a fun one.
Like you see him walk into the room now, and you're like, oh fuck. Like,
so they were banished from CP9. So Lucci must have done something to get back in, and then Spandam probably pulled some strings.
Yeah,
I do like how he's not the boss anymore because he's a fucking tool.
Dude, like world government, you can't just let Lucci go.
no.
Yeah, that like he probably showed up and killed more people, like another 500 people. Like, come on, let me in, come on.
And they're like, we need this guy.
We need this guy.
Let's. Hold on.
Rules to set up or Z. This is just hype.
Yeah.
This page right here. If you've been kind of glazing through One Piece, this page should catch you back up to the scope of the story that's being told right now.
And it's just like, I think this is also kind of Doflamingo putting into perspective the effect his capture is going to have on the world.
Yo, what the fuck's going on with his hat up here?
Yo.
What?
That's kind of weird.
So we've seen pages like this of the emperors before, for example, right? Where they're shadowed out and we saw the 4 of them, but there were more it was basically just Shanks and Whitebeard that we could see back then. Now it's cool that the supernova are drawn in the same way, as in like they are equally important players to the current era as the warlords and the emperors right now. And they're drawn in that mysterious way, which is really cool.
Buggy's here also.
Buggy's here too. I mean, he's a warlord, so...
I mean, yeah, he's a fucking beast.
Yeah. So, I like also that we have our 3 factions shown here. We have the pirate faction, the world government faction, and then we have the revolutionary faction.
I'm Bangkok, baby!
Yeah! It's gonna kick off the greatest battle.
Yes. Here's Doflamingo foreshadowing the greatest war. Just the funniest shit I've ever seen. Also, there's the Mary in the end.
So this is another moment where like I was reading this chapter with Joe and Willer there, right? Mr. Luffy go?
Yeah!
Yeah!
The greatest ship in One Piece?
I do like that a lot.
Yeah.
And I got to this, I was like, that's a funny boat. And then I just kind of kept reading, and then a minute or two later, I was like, wait. So they didn't just now create this ship. This is what Bartolomeo's ship has always looked like.
Yep.
It's just now hitting me. Wait.
He sails around the seas with a bounty of however 100 million.
This is fucking shit.
Okay. Wait a minute. I get it. I thought they made this boat just now to honor Luffy. No, this has always been his boat. I was like, oh, and then I started fucking laughing. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's funny. And then I was like, oh no, this is actually hilarious.
Also, I want to say those are Chopper's antlers in the.
They totally are.
They also got Nami's tangerine trees back here as well.
Damn.
This is the very faithful fan boat, right?
This is
we actually do need a reset, Joe. I just remembered because I do have a post question to ask.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and pause.
All right, moving on.
All right,
recording, Joe?
We're back.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Google Hangouts is lame now.
Yeah,
so
it's really upsetting.
I digress.
It's ridiculous. Oh, now we have all the time in the world to talk about this shit. So the fucking high ass Mary Mass is what gets me.
Yeah.
I
love that the merry-go is like still getting fucking respect this far out.
Yeah.
Because it's the GOAT. I mean,
literally.
Shout outs to the Sunny too, but all right. So we got new bounties.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about them. Zoro's is looking pretty fucking high. Frankie's a little shy. Robin's bounty's always been a little iffy to me. Because she's the most dangerous woman in the world.
I think also it's to downplay her so people don't actually, but even then.
Yeah, I always just assumed that Robin's bounty would be higher than Zoro's, because like, oh yeah, I mean he's the pirate hunter Zoro, but like this is, it's the most wanted woman in the world. It's Nico Robin.
Yeah. Secretly wanted. Usopp having a higher bounty than Frankie, and Frankie getting mad is hilarious. Sanji's gonna flip. Nami's respectable.
Nami...
She's not much of a fighter, but hey, she's dangerous.
Nami looks like such a fucking babe in her wanted poster.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, Brooks is his concert poster.
Yeah.
I really like that. So, but before we talk about the Only Alive thing, there's two more things: the Only Alive thing, and then a post question I have.
Okay.
Bounties in One Piece. There's a video that came out today about how Oda kind of doesn't always make sense with his bounty increases, like on a technical level, but he mostly uses them as very quick numbers that immediately paint a picture in your mind and give the reader an emotion.
Yeah.
And when I put it into that context, bounties are kind of genius, right? After Impel Down in his lobby, shouldn't Luffy's bounty only went up by 100 million? Is that not weird when he broke out of Impel Down and in his lobby, right? That's weird that it only went up by that much. But then you realize that after that arc was his lowest point in his life, his greatest defeat. Oda didn't want the reader to get hyped over Luffy getting a new bounty because it wasn't that big of a deal, because it was more important that the reader felt dread with Luffy. Here, Luffy just beat another Shichibukai in the open, and his bounty only went up by 100 million again. But that's because this is only the pit stop to the greater Kaido saga that we're working through, or the Emperor saga. So Oda's very deliberate with that, and then he kind of does these Straw Hat bounties kind of similar. Where like you should be feeling really hype about Usopp right now because he had his coolest moment. You should always be comparing Zoro and Sanji and laughing about their bounties. And then he does gags with Chopper and Brook and stuff like that. But also you look at Brook and like you look at Frankie and you're like, okay, they're roughly equivalent. They're the mid-tier fighters of the crew, and there's stuff like that. And like Robin couldn't have been her true bounty because she would have joined the crew at like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions, and it would have taken until today for Luffy to catch up to a subordinate of him, which would have felt wrong maybe narratively. So that I feel like that's on point for how Oda thinks these things through.
It's like the bounty reveals, they're not for like the concrete consequences in the world. It's like they're a narrative device to
elicit an emotion out of you.
Yeah, it's like whenever I'm getting these bounty reveals, you know, I don't go like, oh, people are gonna really want to get Zoro now.
Yeah.
You know, I see these and I'm like, wow, Chopper's so happy to go up from 50 to 100 berries. That's so fun.
I have no words. The poor guy. They say about Chopper. Another instance of this is when we got to Sambodi. Kid had a higher bounty than Luffy because at the time he was a bigger threat to the world, and it made it seem like Kid was a little more dangerous. And these days, it seems like Luffy's making bigger splashes, so he's outpacing his greatest rivals back then. Now, what is plot relevant is this Only Alive? What's the deal with that?
Yeah. Whenever I read that, and I only had 5 seconds to think of a theory, my theory was obviously there is some female out there at Maple HQ who wants to fuck Sanji and none of the other Straw Hats.
No, with Sanji's luck, it would be an Okama in the Marines, which we've never seen, which I guess makes sense because the Okama are portrayed as so free-spirited to where they would never be
they would never be
Marine dog.
Get that shit out of here.
Okay, if you got no real theories, people went crazy, but also like they have to sit on this.
Before we move on, everyone just needs to look at Nami one more time.
Oh yeah, this is good. This was a good choice.
This is good.
All right, Joe, did you want to do a thing? Because I wanted to do a thing. I forgot. Like you mentioned, you wanted to.
My thing will not show up until we are after maybe even after Zoe.
Okay.
Depending on when I want to bring it up, because I have to get a PowerPoint presentation ready for this.
Perfect. Then I'll do my thing. Bradley.
Yes.
I haven't done this in a while, but it's very important that I do this now. I need you to give me your Straw Hat rankings right now. Gun to your
And see, I like that you did this without telling me ahead of time.
head. Gun to your head.
So I just have to like go with my gut.
Yeah.
It's okay if you change your mind tomorrow. You can bring it up next time. But
I
right
think
now,
Luffy is just always gonna be. He's got to be number one, dude. It's
Cool.
got to be Luffy. And then the only one who has ever had a chance at unseating Luffy is Usopp.
okay.
So Usopp is number 2.
And he, especially after Dressrosa, Usopp's riding on a high right now.
And then, so here's where we won't run into a problem. Is it Sanji or Zoro?
Ooh, dude, your decision right now will get us dislikes no matter what you do. This is a choice that genuinely makes enemies.
And man, so like, I'm thinking back on all of these arcs that we've covered, and I'm thinking of like, I'm really thinking about it. I like that I'm on the spot for this.
This
I
is
think
perfect.
about these awesome moments Sanji has had. For example, like at Innie's lobby where he like took it upon himself to like, he broke off from the group and he like made that clutch play happen.
Yeah, he made the currents mess up so they could sail away.
And I love the moments where Sanji breaks character from his
Simping.
Simp.
yeah, because like whenever it really comes down to it, like he'll be a man. He can put the simping aside if he really needs to. Not when his life is on the line, but when other people's life is on the line.
Yeah, because Sanji wasn't in this arc very much because the Straw Hats were split in half. We'll learn more about the other Straw Hats next arc. But a moment that sticks out to me in this arc with simping is like him and with Viola and how I saw that as like actually like sort of mature simping moment out of him. But I digress.
Yeah, like that. Out of all the Sanji simpings, that felt the most like it could have actually been real feelings.
Yeah.
So I think about all these amazing moments with Sanji. But then if I just picture Sanji and Zoro walking out to see me, I think I'm more happy to see Zoro. Because I think it's the subtlety with Zoro that I really like.
He is definitely written subtle. The thing when it comes to Zoro and Sanji, and I don't want to paint your picture, but let me just show my cards. Zoro is always consistently good. Sanji has higher highs, but way lower lows.
I think Zoro, he really shines at the moments where it's something important to Luffy. I think I feel like a lot of times he'll come out whenever Luffy might have to make a very hard decision, something relating to being captain, or I also like that Zoro's kind of the one who takes charge whenever one of Luffy's brothers shows up and Luffy's indisposed. I feel like he's usually the one doing most of the talking.
That is true. He really interacted with Ace and Sabo more than I feel like the other Straw Hats.
He definitely feels like the bigger brother of the actual big brother to Luffy on this ship. That's like, that's my captain and crew. Apologize. Let me talk to you for a little bit and be a little bit more mature. It'd be terrible to dream, but I dream of Zoro one day being a shitty diplomat for someone.
So I think very tentatively, 3rd place Zoro, 4th place Sanji.
Okay.
And I will not be giving my address out to be doxxed.
Move on, quick.
Go!
Okay.
That's almost
now. Normally, this is where Frankie would come.
Ooh.
Had he not been totally redesigned.
Ooh.
Oh.
Come on, man. Frankie boxing.
Iron boxing. General
Sanji,
Frankie.
After Sanji comes Nami.
Okay.
After Nami, I'm trying to decide between Chopper and Robin. I'm gonna give it to Robin just because I think her backstory was slightly sadder. They're both very sad backstories.
Both very good backstories.
So Robin and then Chopper, and then
7.
Oh wait, no. Oh,
Brooks. Don't forget
what
Brooks.
am I doing? After Sanji, it's Brooke.
Ooh, you almost slipped there. Yeah.
After Sanji, Brooke, and then is it Brooke or Brooks? I always forget.
Brooke.
It's Brooke.
Sanji, then Brooke, then Nami,
then
Robin, then Chopper, then Frankie.
Okay.
That's all of them. We won't rank Jinbei yet, but tentatively, if Jinbei was like on a side list, in this scale, would he be above the? Where would he rank?
He'd probably be between Frankie and Chopper.
Ooh.
Okay.
Just because, like, I'm sure he's cool. I just don't know him that well.
Plus, he's not currently a part of it. Like, he's weirdly a crew member.
Frankie used to be in the upper echelon of this list.
You're not alone. A lot of people get fucked up by Frankie's design.
But
I still see the man inside that machine, Bradley.
That was a fun segment, and I liked debating with myself on Sanji versus Zoro. That was actually really hard to pick.
Yeah, cool. Okay, at least you made it close, so I think we won't be too crucified.
I can't wait for us to come back to this later.
Oh yeah, this list will be fun in a couple months.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Because the next few arcs are very character development focused.
That's
I think
what I need.
so. I think going forward, the next part of One Piece is a little bit more focused on the Straw Hats. I would say
there's still big arcs with a lot of characters. But they're so Straw Hat focused.
Yes, especially the next two coming up.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like after the time skip, we really came out swinging. There's a lot of action going on.
Yeah.
But I feel like I really need that arc that is just like, how are the Straw Hats really doing?
I am so excited because there's a panel that will be coming up that literally makes me cry every single time I see it.
Yes.
Like I'm thinking about it. I think about it and I start tearing up.
When you get there, I'm confident that it's like it's the one. It's
like Will and I talked about doing this panel tier list, and we've been like, this panel is in top 5 easily.
It's the panel.
It makes my heart.
Scene. It's
the whole thing.
But that's enough hyping up One Piece. It sucks anyways.
One Piece bad. Everyone go buy Toriko.
Everyone go buy Toriko instead.
All right, thanks for joining us. We're finally done with Dressrosa. That is it's the longest completed arc in One Piece.
Arc in One Piece.
Yeah, Wano is longer, but also Wano's broken up into acts.
Yes.
So it's a lot more
like a clean, more digestible.
Yeah, I think I do like that concept a lot more. Like it's digestible chunks, you know.
Yeah. Now, Whole Cake is also quite long, but I think you won't mind as much because of its Straw Hat focus.
I think you're right.
All right, gang. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Whole Cake.
No. Okay, get the fuck in.
Yeah. Let's get out.
Get the fuck in. Oh, we're getting in to get out.
Get out.
Welcome to the Bardo Club, motherfucker.